In the twilight of a cold, forgotten future, Su Zhaoyuan watched the charcoal embers glow with a vengeful satisfaction. She was an old woman, her body broken by decades of toil in the mountains where she had been sold as a slave, but her spirit was finally at peace. Across from her, the life drained from the eyes of Su Routang and Gu Lisong, who are the cousin and the fiancé who had conspired to steal her life, her job, and her family. As the smoke filled the locked room, Zhaoyuan closed her eyes, ready for the void. But instead of darkness, she found light. A sharp, rhythmic hammering sound pulled her back to consciousness. She sat bolt upright, gasping for air that wasn't filled with soot. Her hands were smooth, her skin unblemished, and the room was the familiar cramped dormitory of the steel factory in 1975. She was 18 years old. She had just fainted from a 3-day hunger strike, a desperate, childish ploy to force her parents to let her follow the hypocritical Gu Lisong to the countryside. "I'm not going," she whispered, the words tasting like victory. In that moment, a mechanical chime echoed in her soul. System 1306 binding successful. Host, please choose your starter reward. Remembering the physical weakness that had allowed men to drag her into the mountains in her past life, Zhaoyuan ignored the options for beauty or wealth. She chose the great strength pill. A wave of heat surged through her, and she felt a latent, terrifying power settle into her muscles. She reached for a solid clay brick by her bed and squeezed. It disintegrated into red dust. The love-obsessed girl was gone. In her place stood a woman who has seen the end of the world and returned to set it on fire. Her first target was the domestic friction that had ruined her family. Her eldest sister-in-law, Zhang Kuiqi, was a sharp-tongued woman who felt marginalized. In her previous life, Zhaoyuan had treated her with elitist contempt. This time, Zhaoyuan walked into the kitchen, shared her malted milk essence with Kuiqi's twins, and spoke with a warmth that disarmed the older woman. More importantly, she made a decision that stunned the household. She would not keep her prestigious factory job. To ensure her brother's family could stay in the city and avoid the tragic poverty of the countryside, she transferred the position to him. With her family secured, she turned to the male lead, Gu Lisong. He arrived at her door with a practiced, sorrowful expression, expecting his devoted fiancé to crawl back to him. Instead, Zhaoyuan dragged him into the hallway. With her newfound strength, she didn't just break the engagement. She physically forced him to return every cent he had swindled from her and publicly exposed his secret, sordid romance with her cousin, Su Routang. Zhaoyuan didn't want the factory job. She had a better plan. She saw work at the local scrap collection station. To the neighbors, it was a shameful trash job, but Zhaoyuan knew the secrets of the era. Utilizing her system and her knowledge of the future, she found 5 massive wooden crates buried beneath the floorboards of an old warehouse. Inside were gold bars, antique jade, and her mother's stolen heirlooms, treasures that would ensure she never went hungry again. Her path soon crossed with Jiu Jinye, the elder half-brother of her ex-fiancé. A deputy battalion commander with a gaze like a cold blade, he was a man of few words and immense integrity. Their first meeting was born of violence. Zhaoyuan had intervened in a kidnapping, using a kitchen knife and her supernatural strength to dismantle a gang of human traffickers. Jinye, arriving to assist, saw not a victim but a warrior. He began to appear in her life more frequently, his cold exterior melting whenever he brought her extra meat rations or protected her from the schemes of the Jiu patriarch. As Zhaoyuan's influence grew, the protagonists of the old world began to wither. Su Routang, desperate to maintain her status, was forced to take the very countryside placement she had intended for Zhaoyuan. She ended up married to the penniless Gu Lisong. The two of them trapped in a cycle of mutual hatred and poverty, a poetic echo of the hell they had once inflicted on Zhaoyuan. The ultimate revelation came when Zhaoyuan's true heritage was uncovered. She was not a Su by birth. She was the missing daughter of a high-ranking military division commander, switched in a hospital during the chaos of the revolution. Overnight, the trash collector became a princess of the new military elite. By 1977, as the news of the restored college entrance examination swept through the nation like a wildfire of hope, Zhaoyuan sat in her grand courtyard with Jiu Jinye. She had rescued her brothers, honored her parents, and reclaimed her dignity. Her belly was beginning to swell with new life. One evening, Jiu Jinye reached for their birth control supplies, but Zhaoyuan caught his hand. "From today on, we won't be using this anymore," she said softly. The soldier, usually so composed, looked at her with a joy that bordered on the holy. That night, the bed shook with a passion that was not just about desire, but about the profound completeness of a soul that had finally come home. 3 months later, a pregnancy report confirmed that the cycle was truly broken. Su Zhaoyuan leaned against her husband, looking out at a future that was finally gloriously hers.